Hey, my friends, David Guido here, personal development coach, trainer, speaker, and author of the book, What If? 30 Days to Powerful New Perspective. So as I record this, it's Inauguration Day here in the United States. We're inaugurating President Trump today, and that has people fired up. One way or the other, it's got people fired up. But it got me to thinking, have you ever felt, or do you feel now, that we are bombarded with bad news in ways unlike ever before? You know, used to be back in the day when I was growing up, you had a newscast at 6 and a newscast at 11. That was all the news you got. And I used to call it the crime report. But the reality was even then, it was, it was 15 minutes of crime report stuff, and then the weather, and then the sports, and then that was it. Called it a day, half hour in and out, right? Now it's 24/7. Facebook, Twitter, 24/7 news stations. And so with it all being bad news, it's just constant, it's a constant barrage. And it's left people feeling like the world is worse. In fact, every study that's being done says that the world is worse off now than ever. And that's such a shame because, yeah, there's bad stuff going on, and we need to be aware of that. But there's fewer murders and violent acts now than at any time in history. And more people are becoming successful from what we would consider to be a bad place, a season of struggle. Those stories of he had nothing, she had nothing, and look what they've become. Those stories have increased by millions. But all the surveys say the world's getting worse. The statistics say it's getting better. The surveys, people believe that it's getting worse. And that's because we're subject to bad news over and over and over. If you look at the 90s as a perfect example, the murder rate in the United States went down 42% in the 90s. News coverage of homicides went up 700%. So it's no wonder that our surveys are saying the world is worse when our statistical reality, by many measures, most if not all measures, is that it's getting better. And so if you're there now and you're thinking, wow, it's just one bad news thing after another. Every time I go I watch the news, every time I go onto social media, it's just, I'm there with you. In fact, I've struggled with that a lot over the last 12 months with all the election coverage and the things that were being said about Trump and Clinton and Sanders, and even in the sports world with things that are being said about teams and players. And the reports are always looking for the bad, looking for the negative, looking for the sensational story rooted in something bad. And it's brought me down. It's been a struggle to stay up, to stay positive, to fight through it, and to remind myself to focus on the good news. Not ignore the bad news, we'll talk about that, but to focus on the good news. And so this week, we're going to look at why. Why is it so important? Why do we need to be cognizant of the fact that there is a barrage of bad news, but that things really are getting better in the world in general, and we need to focus on the good news? We're going to look at the 4 reasons why that is absolutely essential for you. And then I'm going to share with you 6 things that I've been doing, 6 things that I know other people are doing to help fight off the barrage of bad news that seems to be out there everywhere. So let's get started with why. First of all, when you are barraged with bad news and you're not replacing it with good news, you are sadder and you are angrier. And what does that do for your relationships? I've had people unfriend me on Facebook because of my political stance or my sports stance. Now, I do agree that if politics and sports, teams and players are more important than friendship with me, they're not really friends and I'm better off with them gone. I get that. But we're at a place where the bad news is infecting our behavior. The repeated negativity is infecting our behavior so that our relationships are suffering. More personal, close to home. You can't get bad news. You can't subject yourself to bad news and then turn around and be a great employee, a great spouse, a great father, a great mother, a great family member, or a great friend. Because to be the best in your relationships, you have to be positive. You have to be energetic. You have to be full of life and positivity and fulfillment and peace. And you got to bring the joy. And if you are not there because you're getting barraged with bad news, your relationships are suffering, whether you want to admit that or not. And I've had relationships over the last year that are not where they should be because I've been in that bad place because I've watched or exposed myself to too much bad news. Neutral stuff. Donald Trump may be a great president, may be a horrible president. If Hillary Clinton had been elected, she may have been a great president, she may have been a horrible president. Today, on Inauguration Day, we don't know that. We can opinionate on it, opine on it. What's that word? We can guess, we can have conjecture, et cetera, but we don't know. Nobody knows. But when you are subjecting yourself to bad news more often than good news, you will see something neutral. Today, whether Donald Trump is going to be a great or a bad president is a neutral statement because we don't know, but you will look at all neutral news stories or neutral situations as negative, as bad. That's what happens. All the studies have proven that over the last few years, that when you are subjecting yourself to more bad news than good news, you will take a look at things that are neutral, that are not positive or negative one way or the other. You will automatically assign a negative connotation to them. What does that do to your mindset? What does that do to your relationships? The third reason why is because you're less productive. When you're on your way to work and you're bombarded with who shot who and what this politician did or that politician did, or you're listening to sports talk radio and they're just being mean and evil and negative and it's all just arguing and yelling and screaming, you do not go to work positive. You do not go to work ready to rock and roll. In fact, here's a survey from Huffington Post. People who watch 3 minutes of negative news in the morning were 27% more likely to report having a bad day 6 to 8 hours later. It was still affecting them at the end of the workday. How productive were they? Meanwhile, those who watched transformative stories for 3 minutes in the morning reported having a good day 88% of the time. So it's not just for a few minutes that you get dragged down or you get lifted up, depending on what you expose yourself to. It carries with you for the whole day. I don't know about you, but I want to be productive every day. I want to feel like I'm contributing every day. I want to be the difference every day. And if I'm in a place that is negative or angry or bitter because I got bad news and I'm sad and I'm angry, I am not going to be the best I can be, and neither are you. And the fourth reason, and perhaps the most important, is that our personal worries are exaggerated when we're completely enveloped in bad news. So think about the things that you're worried about. So might be finances. And if all you're doing is subjecting yourself to bad news about where the economy is going to go under Donald Trump, your financial worries are now exaggerated way beyond anything in the realm of reality. And all the studies show this. All the studies show that the people that are constantly exposing themselves to bad news, whatever they're worried about or concerned about in their life, exaggerates and exasperates because their mindset is in a bad place. Their mindset is in a negative place. So what do we do about that? Well, as I said, we've got six things I've been doing. Because again, this is something that was starting to kind of creep into my life a little bit more than I wanted it to. I spent a lot of time on Facebook for my business. And that subjected me to a lot of things I started to spend too much time on. So I wrapped myself up in these 6 things I'm going to share with you right now. Number 1, turn off your alerts. My phone used to beep every time something happened. Breaking news from CNN, breaking news from Fox. Breaking news is always bad. If I don't get the alert and I find out about it 5, 10, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, half hour later, at the end of the day, not going to change my life. And it's not going to change yours either. We feel like we need to know immediately. We don't. So turn off the alerts. Small thing, but that's the first thing I've done. Second thing is good stuff on the radio. When I'm in the car, I listen to Christian music. I listen to positive, uplifting music. I listen to Joel Osteen on Sirius XM. I listen to things that are going to make me feel good. I listen to books on tape or on CD, like my Zig Ziglar collection. I listen to stuff that's going to educate me, improve my mind, lift me up, inspire me. I don't listen to sports talk radio, which is all arguing. I don't listen to political talk radio, which is all arguing. I don't listen to traditional radio stations who let's give an update on the news and then it's one crime report after another. I refuse to take in any of that bad news. If you do that, you will see a major improvement in your mindset. Whenever you get to where you're going, you've put good stuff on the car radio or in the CD player or on your iTunes, your iPod, whatever it is, you will see a huge difference in how you approach the rest of the day, how you approach the people you're going to see. If you put good stuff on the radio, you get home, you're going to be a different person for your spouse and kids than if you put something on that by the time you get home is completely and totally angered you, saddened you, made you mad, whatever. Avoid Facebook and Twitter comments. That's number 4. Or number 3, rather. Avoid Facebook and Twitter comments. It's okay to see the headline. It's okay to even read the article. But you cannot go into any Facebook or Twitter feed on a sports or political topic without ending up infuriated, mad, sad, depressed, angry, wanting to lash out because all of the comments are mean and vile and evil, or taking shots at people, being critical, being judgmental, whatever it is. So if you want to read the article, you want to get up to speed on what's happening, that's great. Try to limit that because it's usually bad, but certainly stay off the comments. Number 4, meditation or spirituality. I have read my Bible more in the last couple of months than in the last couple of years. And I've meditated multiple times a day, whereas I used to just meditate once a day. Meditation is just simply you sit back, you think about what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? What are the good things in this world? What are the good things in life? You fill your mind in a quiet, peaceful moment with that kind of stuff. You release the negativity. You wash it out of your mind. Or spiritually with your prayer and your Bible reading if you're so inclined. Either way, whether you're going the spiritual route or the meditative route, you're filling your mind with good information, positive information, stuff that's going to lift you up, that's going to re-energize you. Bad news saps your energy. So you want to do some spirituality stuff, meditation kind of exercises. Number 5, who do you surround yourself with? If the people you're following on Facebook, if the people you're hanging out with at the office, if the family and friends that you try to spend most of your time with, all they want to do is explore the bad news and talk about the bad news, get rid of them. Limit your time with them as best you can. Because at the end of the day, if they're talking about bad news and focusing on bad news all the time, and you're around them, that's going to bring you into that. You want to surround yourself with people that are finding the good news, finding the good story, finding the good in the bad news, which leads to the last one, which is websites and other news sources that focus on good news. Or focus on the things that are going on that we need to know about that are bad from a solution or perseverance perspective. See, you can say in the city of Chicago, murders are up to 700 and something for the year, or whatever the number was in 2016, and leave it at that and leave it hanging as though we have a huge murder problem, the worst murder problem in our history. One murder's too many. I get that. But what happens if you find the good news source that says there's been 700 and something murders in Chicago in 2016, and here are some inspirational things that people are trying to do to stop that. Here are some people that were caught up in that violence and they've moved on because they persevered. Here are some solutions that have worked for some people that are trying to be implemented so that you don't lose your hope. You can't put your head in the sand. You have to know what's going on out there. You have to be aware of the bad news. But bad news can be reported in 2 ways. 1, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Or 2, there's some bad stuff going on out there, but there's way more good than bad. And there's some people fighting through that bad, that are persevering, that are finding solutions to make it better. Which one is better for you? Obviously the second one. So a couple of websites, for example, are goodnewsnetwork.org, dailygood.org, and sunnyskies.com, spelled SUNNYSKY.com. XYZ. It's tough out there. You know, there's a lot of bad news. That's what sells. And it's hard to get away from it. And you can't have your head in the sand and be all Pollyanna-like. But by the same token, when you allow yourself to be subjected to bad news on an ongoing and regular basis and get caught up in it, your relationships suffer, your peace, your happiness, your joy, your fulfillment all suffer. You see everything as negative, even the stuff that's good or the stuff that's neutral. You're far less productive in your work, in your career, in your passion, in your mission. And everything that you're worried about is exaggerated to a degree that is completely unhealthy. So rather than put your head in the sand, turn off the alerts. You'll find out about the news eventually. Put good stuff on, stuff that's going to motivate you, inspire you, and lift you up while you're in your car, while you're sitting at home. Listen to good stuff. Your spirituality, meditation is a huge thing to help you break through. Make sure you're involved in those kind of things, whatever is appropriate for you. Avoid Twitter, avoid Facebook comments. You know, it's okay to read the articles, it's okay to see the fun posts, but avoid the negative stuff. Surround yourself with people that want more good news and less bad news. Surround yourself with people that don't see everything through a bad news prism. Surround yourself with people that are always looking for the good. And check out good news websites. Check out good news sources. And when you're looking at the bad news and you're finding out what's happening, look at it through the perspective of the millions of people in all of those bad news situations that are doing stuff to overcome, to persevere, to break through, to make it better, so that you keep yourself energized and positive and moving forward with peace and joy and fulfillment and passion for your mission. If you do those things, you're well on your way to the So Good life. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for reading. Please like and comment and share. Let's impact people. You know there's people that need to hear this message. So please share this with them and let's impact them. Until the next time, get out there every day. Discover something new. Learn something every day. Reach for your dreams. Don't stop dreaming. Reach for those dreams. Go for it. Every day. Live the life that is so good.